Our next event is the wine tasting with Brian Yorgey. And Brian, you want to take this?
No. Okay. This is going to take a little while to set up, so please be a little patient and don't open the cups until we get everything together, because I want to make sure you better behave. I want to make sure everybody gets the right samples, because because I have small lots, I couldn't make the same set of samples for everybody. So there's like 3 different tests going on at the same time. So you got to pay attention, and please just wait till we're ready, okay?
One point is this would not be happening except the commission came up with some extra funding to fund Brian.
And thank you very much. I really appreciate this, and I hope you appreciate this, because this is pretty cool. These are all standards and the really advanced selections from the breeding trials. So this is sort of what's happening right now. So I told you what these are, but I'm not going to. This is going to be a good blind test. So at the end, I will tell you what they are, if you promise not to change your answers. And what I'd really like to do is, if you want to remember, write some notes on something else, and I'd like to collect the ballots before I tell you what they are. Okay?
It doesn't matter whether they use pen or pen.
Got the picture?
I don't know. He likes to hand out pencils, but I don't know
I
if it
made
matters.
these from small lots of berries that we picked from last summer in the pilot plant using a pilot scale finishing machine. There's no enzymes used to break this down. So there are some texture differences. Just try to ignore that, because that's not part of the show. And I did add a little bit of sugar. All we tried to do was to balance it out a little bit to try to get the best berry flavor that we can. Because you can mess with the acid, you can mess with the sugar levels, but you can't mess with the berry flavor, and that's what we're really looking for here. The ballots will ask you, taste the samples in the order on your ballot. They're all randomized. This is the way you have to do sensory analysis to make everything even. What else? The sweetness and the tartness is not really part of what we're testing for, but if you want to put something in the comment section about that, that's okay with me, just to let us know how well we did. One of the important things is try not to spill, okay? It makes a big mess, okay? So my recommendation is to take one lid off at a time, and when you're finished tasting it, put the lid back on. Because what happened last time is people push them off the end, the far side of the table, and it's ugly, okay? Okay, so the scoring, the ballot range is 1 to 9, it's up in the corner. Are there any questions about what's going on here? Have at it.
And just to reiterate, these are all either cultivars we currently grow commercially or numbered selections. It's really dirty. I proposed this to Brian. He said, "You're nuts," but I sat over there and tallied this up. Basically what I did is, we had different numbers of different ones. So it's not a numbers thing, rather it's a percentage of the scores for each variety, or each one that fell into this category. So 9 was best, 1 was worst. So in other words, for brownish, right, Columbia Star, about 29% of the people voted that one as, whatever that is, 8. So a high score. So Columbia Star tended to be a little tip to the right, but for every single variety, there's people who hate it, or didn't like it. Here's Marion down here with, some people scored it a 1, some people scored it a 2, some people scored it a 2, a little higher. But Marion was this big, flat curve with, the good news was there were sort of broad agreement that it was better than average. Columbia Star a little higher, and then the other one, Black Diamond was I guess you call it bimodal. There's some people who thought it just sat right around average, and it sort of leveled off, and then other people thought it was better than average. So it's kind of interesting to see how that fell. As far as the new selections, 3447, which is 3447-2, Columbia Star was 3447-1, so it's not completely surprising that it was sitting here just behind Columbia Star with more sort of out here, but not many people disliked it. And I think, Brian will have to run statistics. Some of these differences may not be real, because there's so much variability in here. But I think it was the 3453 that had the most out here that disliked. I don't know exactly why that is, because there still was some people out here who gave it a 9. It was about 58, I think, for all the ones we had enough of for everybody, and it was 40-ish, 30, for, what was it for? Probably. I have the tally sheet over there. How many people total? I mean, it was 58 for the ones we had enough of.
Yeah.
Or we had a lot of. So, Brian wanted the stats, and this was for the overall score. This wasn't flavor, this wasn't aroma, this wasn't whatever. This was the overall score. And only 2 of you guys messed up, as far as somebody for the overall gave a nice ranking up and down. After that, that's an interesting way to do it, but that's not the way we wanted it today. And the other one for the overall did an average across all the scores, or a total across all the scores. It's another way to look at it, but we'll figure that out. Otherwise, thank you so much for the input. It was greatly appreciated.
Take-home message is, there's not a whole lot of, nothing really stands out, nothing really felt, well, I should.
Well, I think, first of all, Brian and I were sampling these the other day, I guess I'm just impressed with overall.
Yeah.
If we'd gone back 10 years to what we had as numbered selections or whatever, I think there would have been more over here. Plus, if we had thrown something like Chester in here, we would have had more down here. The other thing that was interesting is how psychologically people do it. I tend to be, I really like it, but I score ones down. And then there were certain people who stuck right at 5. It was sort of like, is it 6 or is it 4? They start 5 as the, and there's nothing wrong as long as you're consistent in your scoring. Whenever you do it, it's fine. Whereas I'm much more like, is this a 7? No. So down it goes. Anyways, thanks.
We're finished. Thanks for coming.